Starting this month, I'll be giving a shout out to my Tier 5 patrons once a month on Setup Wars. So a huge shout out to Josh, the RTX 3091, who also has a Twitch account. You guys should definitely check him out. A huge thanks to Scary Ed 84 and Red, White, and Young. Thank you guys so much for your contribution. Guys, there are only 3 more episodes left until the new season of Setup Wars, which begins on episode 251. I got such an awesome season planned for you. We got a new seal of approval in the works. We got the new intro reveal, which you guys will see. And we're also gonna adjust the editing a little bit to introduce new elements to the show. We're gonna kick off the new season with a new edition of Setup Wars as well. Couples edition. So, you know, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, stepsister. It's gonna be such an awesome season. In fact, I'm saving all the best setups for season 5. So if you guys want to get in on the new season, make sure to watch the video link below to learn how to enter your own setup. But with that said, sit back and relax. And let the Setup Wars begin. One of the sexiest PC cases is now available from Corsair. The 5000D Airflow not only looks aesthetically jaw-dropping, but it's also optimized to deliver massive airflow to your system for maximum cooling. You can add a push and pull configuration up to a 360mm rad in the front or the top of the case, and if that's not enough, you can remove the rear tray to add an additional 360 radiator. The 5000D also comes with tons of cable management support in the back, with built-in raceways, Velcro straps, and 2 hinge doors to cover everything up once you're done. Your friends won't be able to roast you on your bad cable management ever again. You can choose to mount your GPU vertically or horizontally with the built-in vertical PCI slots and screw mount. Grab yours today by clicking the link below. You guys remember Ben, right? From episode 190 back in June 2020. He was the one with the awesome Harley Quinn setup. Well, it looks like the setup had a complete transformation as he removed the theme altogether. The biggest change is quite possibly from the wall. It no longer has that chalkboard style wallpaper, and it looks like he downsized from 3 monitors. He's now using a single 49-inch super ultrawide as the main, with a 27-inch in vertical mode as the secondary. I'm actually curious if that vertical monitor is in a great location for you, because it seems like it's a bit far out. It looks like he did keep the same desk and peripherals, but added a mouse pad. He's still rocking the ROG Horus keyboard with the M65 Elite mouse, except without any Harley Quinn writing on the keyboard. For audio, he still got the SteelSeries Arctis Pro headphones, but it looks like he moved his soundbar on top of the PC. Personally, I would mount the soundbar against the wall right above the monitor, or if it hurts your OCD, you can always place it underneath it and use some rubber feet on the edges to keep it level with your stand. The PC powering the setup is the same build, but with the GPU in horizontal mode instead of vertical, and it's also got a different color scheme. Looks like he ditched the quad colors to a more simple black and purple. Look, I'm all for personality, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there needs to be a perfect balance between the two. I definitely love Ben's new, cleaner, and more mature setup compared to before. Well done on the upgrades, and thanks again for coming back on the show. This next setup from Brandon is going to be the most refreshing setup you're gonna see all week. He built this setup for gaming, streaming, and editing videos. The first thing that stood out to me was the interesting monitor layout. He's got both of them spaced out on 2 separate desk mounts and used the gap between for his tripod that holds up his Sony a7 III camera for streaming. Now, if you went with this monitor layout on purpose just to make room for your tripod, then I'm here to tell you there's a much better alternative to this. There are a ton of cheap camera mounts that you can buy on Amazon that can hook up to the desk, which will eliminate the need to use a tripod, plus it will clear up additional space on your desk. I'm actually going to be using the Gator Frameworks arm for my face camera because it has more adjustability points and I can route the cable through the arm for a cleaner look, but those are just a few options that you can go with. Alright, moving on to peripherals, we got the Drop Control TKL keyboard in combination with the Logitech G Pro wireless mouse. I do love the Elgato Stream Deck location. Since you're drilling a hole in the desk to route the keyboard wire through, it just makes sense to do the same thing for the Stream Deck as well. What a great way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It also looks like he is taking streaming seriously because he got quite the setup for that as well. 2 Elgato key lights for that crisp lighting, the Shure SM7B microphone mounted perfectly on the edge of the desk, and the Sennheiser HD 800s. He has the mic connected to the Go XLR mixer, and the headphones are hooked up to his i5 micro DAC. I actually have those same headphones myself, just custom painted, and I know they are open back design, so I'm wondering if any of the audio leaks onto your microphone while gaming. That's actually one of the main reasons why I don't use it for streaming. If you're watching this video, let me know in the comment section. But ladies and gentlemen, let me turn your attention to his custom PC that's powering this battle station. This thing is absolutely nuts in many ways. First off, he went with a full custom loop with the Motif Monument case. It's not even a case actually, it's basically just a stand. I've mentioned this before, but this is my favorite Mini ITX open air case in the market currently. I even did a video on it. But aside from water cooling it, this dude mounted two external 480mm radiators on the bottom of his desk, each with quad 120mm Noctua fans. And since he's running two separate loops, the CPU and GPU gets its very own cooling. I could only imagine the temps in this system, but sadly, he didn't write any in the notes. It's a beast PC as well. It's got the 3950X processor that's overclocked to 4.4 GHz. We got 32 gigs of RAM and the EVGA RTX 2080 Ti. Of course, with such a small case, you don't have the room for the pump and res. So Brandon decided to keep that on the top of the desk. I don't even have to look at the cable management. I am confident that Brandon has everything under control. Every inch of the setup seems to have been perfectly planned and executed, which is really impressive considering it took him only 3 weeks to complete. You know, at first I was a bit bothered by the placement of the Go XLR and DAC, but I guess it makes sense with the position of the top monitor. But I always wonder how it would look with the new monitor layout without the tripod. Either way, this is one hell of a refreshing setup that you put together in 3 weeks, Brandon. Thank you for sharing this with us. Daffy is up next from Greece and his Black Mirror setup, as he likes to call it. He works in aviation, and this is the setup he built for gaming, work, and video editing. So I'm guessing the theme Black Mirror doesn't have anything to do with the show Black Mirror on Netflix, but more on the actual term Black Mirror. We got a 34-inch ultrawide mounted to the desk with a secondary 22-inch in vertical mode. I just love how you guys align the top of the vertical monitor with the top of the horizontal one. It just pleases my eyeballs. In fact, the entire setup is just aesthetically pleasing to look at. There is a bit of symmetry and balance actually. I love the 3D hexagon panels on the wall with the clock in the center. It's not overdone, and I just think it ties in the setup really well. For peripherals, you went with the Corsair K95 Platinum keyboard with HyperX pudding keycaps and the Logitech G903 Lightspeed mouse. There are no cables in sight because he drilled right through the desk and hid all the wires in the back. Well done. Now for audio, he's got the SteelSeries Arctis 7 headset, but he does use a soundbar most of the time. I feel like sometimes you gotta improvise with your setup. Take Daffy Setup for example. If he were to go with standard bookshelf speakers, it wouldn't fit in his setup, aesthetically and literally. So going with something smaller and minimal like a soundbar was the perfect choice here. I got a feeling that was the thought process for that soundbar specifically. So the setup is being powered by a sweet custom rig, packing the Ryzen 7 3700X, 16 gigs of RAM, and the Asus RTX 2080. He mostly games on his PC, but he does switch over to his PS4 setup sometimes. One of the coolest things about the setup is the Amazon Alexa LED integration. He's able to switch the colors of his entire room just by talking to Alexa. And at nighttime, this entire room becomes a vibe. I'm digging it. Such an awesome gaming room setup, Daffy. Thank you for sharing this with us. Ladies and gentlemen, our eyes have been blessed by Nicholas's submission. A fine young lad from Vancouver, BC, Canada, and his beautifully shot setup submission. Just look at how crispy these photos are. Damn, I'm getting moist. So he's a web developer and designer that works from home part-time, but he's also a student for computer science and HCI courses. So the setup is used mostly for work with some casual gaming on the side. He's got a 34-inch ultrawide as the main display and a 29-inch ultrawide in vertical for multitasking. This is the second best monitor layout right after stacking it on top of each other. But this one actually makes more sense with Nicholas since he does web development and design. Going through so many setups on the show, you start to notice the real plants from the fake ones. The big giveaway is the actual pot. In fact, houseplants are a major hobby of Nick's, hence why there are so many in his room. He says they do take a lot of time to take care of every week, but they are well worth it due to the enjoyment they give him. Nicholas went with this blacked out stealthy theme for the actual gear so that it doesn't take away from the visual elements of the setup. I love how the gear just remains slightly hidden while you appreciate everything else around it. You got the colors from the lighting mixing in with the natural light. The beauty from the greenery just brings the entire setup to life. It's so refreshing to see all of this come together and work in harmony. I mean, how much more stealthy can you get with the keyboard? My guy's rocking the iQnix F96 Night keyboard with those side-printed keycaps and the Logitech G900 mouse. The monitor height is set perfectly, just high enough for both speakers, and he does use a pair of Sennheiser HD6XXs that are tucked away underneath the desk. My only concern with the setup is with the boom arm placement. You have a Snowball Ice, which is a condenser microphone, which means it's gonna pick up all the noises from your keyboard, especially from that distance. I think for this specific layout, the boom arm would make more sense on either side of your desk, or going with a dynamic microphone. No complaints when it comes to cable management. Looks like everything is hooked up underneath the desk with an addition of a retractable belt, which I strongly believe every sit and stand desk needs. This basically allows the cables inside the belt to expand and retract with the motorized desk. Finishing off with the custom PC underneath the desk. You know, sometimes you have to make a sacrifice for the greater good. This PC won't contribute to the nature theme that Nick was going for if you were to keep it on the top. So he knew he had to leave it on the bottom, and he even went a step further and tinted the side panel himself to make it blend in a lot more. With all of this greenery and decoration, I think we can all agree that this isn't just a setup anymore. This is now officially a part of his home as a decorative piece. I especially like how you control the lighting using Google Voice with the iPad Pro. Such a stunning setup with beautiful photography. Thank you, Nicholas, for entering. Wrapping up the episode is Rene from Germany and his beautiful dual-purpose setup that he built in his attic. So instead of building one setup and swapping over his racing gear whenever he wants to play, he decided to build two separate setups, each with its own purpose. The main gaming setup consists of a desk oak wood tabletop that he picked up from a construction market and two Alex drawers for support and storage. I love the beautiful backsplash backdrop he created with a custom headboard to mount his 34-inch ultralight on. He even added some RGB lights in the back with proper diffusing. He definitely knows what he's doing here. He kept things very simple for the rest of the gear. We got the Razer Huntsman keyboard paired with the Mamba Elite mouse, and for audio he's using a pair of Logitech Z200 speakers and the Sennheiser HD58Xs hanging on a self-made hanger underneath the desk. He did a pretty good job with cable management underneath the desk. However, going with some raceways would have looked cleaner and would have been easier to manage in the long run instead of just using cable clips and zip ties. But it's not a big deal considering the cables above the setup are what matters the most. And you did an awesome job running those through the wall. However, I would recommend picking up some nail-in clips for that VR sensor cable in the corner, just so the wire is nice and straight. They even have these in white so it blends in with the wall. Also, I love that you placed your custom PC on a tiny little shelf to bring it off the ground, but I feel like it doesn't really do the PC justice because part of the Alex unit is still blocking off the side panel. Normally I wouldn't care, but because it's such a good looking system, it just pains me seeing that. Considering the shelf has no other real purpose other than lifting the PC up a little bit, I think you should just get rid of it altogether and install a wall shelf instead with the same height as your countertop. It would not only put your PC at desk level so you can enjoy that beautiful view, but it will also look a lot better in your setup. I have no doubt in my mind that you have the skills and experience to add a wall shelf, considering the rest of the amazing work you have put in the setup. In fact, you can even use the same oak countertop. Just add a few white L brackets underneath it and you're good to go. So that is his main gaming setup. And then we have the VR and racing sim setup on the other side with the entire Logitech racing set that's hooked up to a 54-inch Samsung TV. This man is living his best life and it's awesome. Such a beautiful custom dual setup you have shared with us today. Thank you, Rene, for entering. As a reminder, you guys can always pick up a cheap Windows CD key for less than $15. Just click on my link below and use the code TS20 for an extra 20% off. Once you get your CD key, just visit the activation settings in Windows and change your product key. It's that simple. And that will do it for today's episode. As always, make sure you guys comment below and let me know which of these setups was your absolute favorite and why. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, maybe consider smacking that like button to let me know. And if you're new here, consider subscribing because I do host setup wars every single Monday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you beautiful, beautiful cheeks, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.